Hello, I'm Aspicis, and I'm your host today from the Conclave of Aratar, bringing you some community information to help you decide on where you want to settle yourself within our ranks. We hold these Face the Conclave casts every Wednesday at 8 and Sundays at 4 Eastern, though that schedule will be changing in the future. And I encourage you to join in the Twitch chat to discuss the topics in the interview as they come up. Pose any questions that you'd like to ask our guests, along with any witty commentary. For those of you who are new to the channel, we're a community gathered around the upcoming game, the Chronicles of Elyria. It's a game in development by Soulbound Studios, and if you're interested in learning more about this upcoming game, should be a link below to take you to their website. Like mentioned earlier, we are the members of the Conclave of Aratar. The Conclave of Aratar is a duchy within the Kingdom of Vornair, and we're going to be introducing you to some of the members of our community, and then discussing some topics about our community and about the game, the Chronicles of Elyria. Joining us this week as guests are Strumtrooper and Tuckus. Would you two say hello?
Hello.
What's up?
So Stormtrooper Tuckus, you both are mayors within the Conclave of Aratar here, and we want to give you an opportunity to sell your brand, to let the community, let the people in the present and the future who are watching this cast, watching the video when it goes up on YouTube, get to know you a little bit, know what your leadership style is, know what the type of games you play, know what to expect as they intend to settle in your community. So if you have any questions, if you have any statements, things that are important to you, always feel free to interrupt me and let us know what is your image, what's your brand. So as we go forward, we're gonna ask you questions about the gaming background you have, like I said, the how you make leadership decisions, and a little bit about what you intend to do with your settlement package. Starting off right at the beginning there, we wanna
Hey,
oh, sure,
real
sure.
quick, can you give me a link so that way I can share this to a couple pages real quick?
Sure. If you take a look at the Conclave of Aratar General All Chat, so there'll be a link inside there for the Twitch channel with the stream on it. Should be the first thing on there.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. We'll give you a second to post that around, and then we'll jump in. The first question that we generally start with is asking some questions about the gaming background that both of you have. These we're trying to get a feel for if you are looking at this game from more of a PvE kind of perspective. You like the environment, you like doing dungeon diving, maybe you're a little more into role playing. Maybe if you want to do more of a PvP in the military sense, do you like forming ranks and beating your enemies down with sword and shield, or maybe a PvP in a economic sense? Do you like trade and those sort of things? Are you a builder? That would be a PvE kind of mentality, but that sort of thing. Tell us about the games you've played in the past, the alias that you use, Strumtrooper, Tuckus. Are those old aliases, or are those things you created just for this game? I'll let whoever wants to there.
Tuckus, you're more than welcome to go first, bro.
All right. Well, thank you. I'll take it. I'll start off with kind of my general history for gaming. Started off on SNES and stuff. Moved my way through JRPGs, bunch of single player stuff like that, and that's what I still play a lot of today. But it's changed a bit, where I'll occasionally play the multiplayer shooter like PUBG or Call of Duty back when it was around, back when I used to play on Xbox. Then I migrated away from console, got onto PC, and on PC it was mostly just whatever my friends were playing, which was Minecraft, Terraria, a bunch of PvE centric games.
Yeah, so I think like a lot of gamers these days, it was really easy to start out gaming on console games, the Nintendo, the Super NES, Atari, and PlayStation, Xbox, all the other ones as they popped up. And you say migrated, I like to think of it as matured, but you know, tendency is as the graphics amongst the console they improved, but not always as fast as the computer gaming and the availability of computer games has always been, at least in my mind, more satisfying. But it sounds like you got into when you upgraded, when you matured, well, when you migrated into PC gaming. There was a lot of not social pressures, but a lot of that had to do with the friends you play with, or the things that you do. Do you do you tend to shoot towards games that allow or have a healthy social environment? Is that something you find rewarding?
Yeah, that's definitely how it came about. It was more like me just with my friends, just at work or whatever, and just be like, hey, playing this game, doing some cool stuff. And I'm like, all right, I'll look into it. And I went that way. I was that way in college, where we all went heavy into the league hole. And then I eventually pulled my way out of that.
The league hole, yeah, no, that's an interesting term. I think a lot of I know I fell into that. My group of friends and I.
We always called it League of Assholes.
That definitely, rings true. League of Assholes, or, you know, God, I remember trying to grind up in solos, and that was just rough. Like we ran a small group, called ourselves the Greater Evil, and we did okay. I mean, there's no, we weren't gonna be weren't going to be any of the pro teams or anything like that. Although we still host a fun party or two when the world championships come around. But that's mostly an excuse to eat food, complain, and drink. So, but yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
those social events are a lot of fun. Stuff like that, Tuckus, the man, the myth, the socially reluctant. I like what you put on there. That was tickled me pink. I want to give Strumtrooper here, a chance to answer the same question before we go deeper in depth about your
Sure thing.
aliases, your gaming history. So how about yourself?
So I'm Strumtrooper. You can call me Harry though. That's my real name. I didn't grow up gaming. I grew up on a farm in Pennsylvania, and we weren't really well off or anything like that. So we didn't have TV. Like we had a TV, but we didn't have TV channels or anything like that. We didn't have an Xbox. We didn't have a computer. There was no internet. I'm surprised we had power at our place, basically. I started my very first game, though, was Halo 2, and that was at my best friend's house. He lived about 20 miles away. I would either walk it or bike it every single day I could just to play Halo 2. And he's like, oh, we got other games. You could try out this game. I'm like, no, had to play that Halo 2. Then I left my little small country town. I joined the Marine Corps, traveled around for about 5 years, and really got into gaming there, playing a lot of Battlefield, GTA. I got my first computer then, and my buddy Compton hooked me up with all these video games on Steam. And I remember we would sit in my barracks room for like a straight, 36 hours playing Rust. You want to talk about a cancerous community there. We may have been part of that original cancer. um,
Raided yourself a few enemy camps, maybe.
we would join servers. We wouldn't make bases. We would just destroy other people's shit.
Tis the right way of things, right? I
So
mean, it is Rust.
yeah, that was Rust. Whole different. That was a lifetime ago. Completely don't even play. Well, I play a couple games like that. I just broke, I think, 1,000 hours on Conan Exiles for the PC. I put 800 hours on one server alone, and I'm putting a ton of hours on a second server now.
Like, what type of role do you generally take on Conan? So you mentioned you've matured from the Rust-like destructive ways, and you've moved on to games like Conan.
Well, no, even like on GTA, you will rarely see me kill a guy unless he has either a bounty on him or he shot at me first.
Gave you good reason, looked at you the wrong way, right?
Well, no, not even look. Like, hey, if you're doing your little operation thing and selling cocaine over here, let me sell my meth right next to you. You know, that little. We all got our own little rackets in GTA. Let's run them.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
need for bloodshed.
Beneficial business arrangements there, Don Stormtrooper.
Exactly.
Mm.
Now, I actually we did a little voting thing within Iskar, the county that I am in. It's all Harathi County, which is basically all dwarves. I actually was promoted to the head council seat of trade for my county. The reasoning behind that is I have put close to 2,000 hours alone on ESO and have been one of the major trading partners in the Cyrodiil House of Trading back in the early days when it was in the top ranked leaderboard. If I logged into ESO right now, you'll see I still am sitting on, I think, on like 200 or I'm sitting on just a little over 200 million in gold.
Well, that
Now
is impressive right there.
I plan on bringing that whole trade mentality over here to Elyria and becoming the just powerhouse for our county. Now, all the dwarves, they want their little mountain strongholds so they could build underground and everything. I'm all for building underground, my little fortress too, but I want a harbor. I want to be able to send ships out for either trading or raiding, so that way it can bring in profits for everyone.
Yeah, and I mean you bring that wealth of experience from the ESO trade. I mean, having something that you can stand behind and say, "Look, I have a history here. I've done this thing, and I did it well. So guess what? What do you have?"
Because if there's someone better than me, please step up. I will happily relinquish it, and I want to work with you so we can increase our profits. I don't want to be living a pauper in the game. I'm Jorbor Ruby Shield. I want rubies in my goddamn shield.
Yeah, I like that name you came up with, Jorbor Ruby Shield. That's your Elyrian name, at least for your character initially, right?
That is correct. Also, my city that I'm actually mayor of is called Kermizian. It is Swahili for ruby. I think it's Kermizi is how you say it in Swahili. Yeah, I just add the "en" to it to give it a more city-sounding name.
Yeah, no, and I look forward to seeing how you manipulate the word ruby and in the rest of the gameplay there. Let's see, I think we have a slide here that you gave me for your character, and I want to give you a chance to talk a little bit about, yes, Jobor Ruby Shield. We'll transition to that really quick. The humble merchant, well-known merchant, right? Anyway, so this is an alias you came up with, somebody that you wanted to create. Have you used this alias before in other games? Is this something that
I have not? I created it pretty much when I joined the county, the Conclave, I mean.
So it's a new name, a new history, no strings attached to it. That'll be nice. That'll give you a fresh slate to start off with.
Pretty much. The other game that I put a lot of hours into was Rome Total War. That's you see that kind of town sigil I have looks very Romanesque. And it has a giant ruby in the center, of course, to show off that whole thing. And I'm going to build it kind of similar to the Roman Empire, but more I'm going to be copying from the Punic Empire in the early 80 AD. What they had done was they created and reached out to all the local pirates, bandits, cutthroats, thieves. They're like, look, you guys need a safe haven. We'll provide you a safe haven. We'll give you the ports. You got free access to the land. You just got to pay us tribute on every ship, every village, everything you plunder and raid. So I'm going to, and that's where that harbor really, really comes into play.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a central piece for your settlement, and I want to give you the opportunity to really go deep dive into the what you intend for your settlement and what really excites people about the chance for them to settle in your area. But I want to switch back to Tuckus Eros here really quick. The man, the myth, the socially reluctant Tuckus Eros. Tuckus, your alias here, Tuckus Eros. You've used Tuckus before, haven't you?
Actually, I got Tuckus from one of my friends at work, and she was like, just like Tuckus, and I'm just like, all right, well, that's actually not a bad sounding name.
Was
And
that a conversation like, you're like friend, work, colleague, I'm having a hard time here. I've got to come up with this other persona for this online community, online game, and what do I do? What's a good name? Or was this more of you're interacting with this individual at work, and he, she, it is like, you know what? Huh, Tuckus. I'm gonna call you Tuckus. That's kind of a playful turn on, a nickname.
yeah, and that's what that was. It was more like a playful turn. My actual name was Tucker.
It's a
So
strong,
she's
a strong name, a good name.
and so she's just like Tuckus, and I'm like, all right, that's actually really good, and I liked it a lot, so I started using it in my Discord.
And this is all pre. This is all pre Elyria, or is this?
And this was about the same time as Elyria. It's when I got into like actually being in part of a community. I started out in Blackcart,
Oh, okay.
and that's where I started that name out, and I started a little bit of role play, and it was like, yeah, this isn't bad. That's why I spent like good 3 months on before I kind of just went back out into my more outside life because I work and then I go do stuff and then I don't have a lot of time to be on the computer.
Yeah, no, no, no. I mean, then balancing your game life, work life, real life priorities. That can be something. I know how that goes. Now you mentioned something in there that I give a quick shout out to, a quick moment to be able to elaborate on for both of you before we start talking about leadership and leadership mentalities and how as a leader you make decisions. But and you mentioned, you use the alias Takaseros as in some light role play, some light storytelling like aspects. For both of you, does Elyria interest you at all about the ability to immerse yourself into a game world and then play somebody other than who you are, or somebody who you are but maybe in a slightly more fanciful fashion? Is that something that applies to you? Do you see yourself role playing at all in this game?
For me personally, not really. It's hard to adequately enjoy a game and enjoy company while also trying to play someone you're not. So it was more of a just kind of having fun thing while doing stuff with people and then having OOC uh, channels for talking outside of that. But I was I'm way more in depth into the OOC where I like having people to talk to and I like knowing people and I like getting to know them.
Yeah,
Where
the real
good.
world relationships or um, insight that you gain on individuals is more important than being able to step out of whatever your personality or what you define yourself as. Some people come to gaming and they look for a release, something different than what they view themselves as, and some people come to gaming and they're really looking for that social aspect. So I think we would expect, and correct me if I'm wrong here, interacting with you, Tuckus, and the community that's your corner of the community there, for it to be very, very human, very, this is who I am, this is who you are, and we're connecting on a person to person kind of level rather than a person I am playing as level.
Correct.
How about you, Strumtrooper? Was there any appeal to the role playing world in this, or are you looking for things similar to Tuckus's and more of the person to person when you talk about the social aspect? He may be figuring out his hosting and whatnot.
I'm sorry, I was muted.
Oh,
Oh,
muted.
there we go.
Perfect. Well, we heard everything you said. It's just no, just kidding. Yeah. No. So for you, the role playing, does that play a big role inside there, or is it more of the person to person socializing, that sort of dynamic that you appeal to more?
So I play D&D every so often whenever I can find a good group. I'm actually in the middle of writing my own homebrew campaign. I love role playing, but I believe that I joined a role playing server for Conan actually, and I've been playing heavily on that. And one of the guys, he gets on and he does the typical barbarian ha 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 after every fucking thing he says. I'm not for that kind of role playing.
You're a moderation in all things kind of individual. If you're role playing, it's not over the top. It's just maybe a different take.
If I enter a town, I might, act out like, what are these wares I'm seeing, or some shit like that. But I'm not gonna go, ha ha ha! I am a dwarf, rah! That's not me, man.
No, I get you there, and I think, so I mean, this is a little out of topic here, but the role playing always seems to me, when I talk to individuals, whether they're on the casts or inside the community, and we start talking about role playing, there's this image, and I think you understand this, Strumtrooper. Role playing doesn't necessarily mean over the top bar or a dwarf walking in and he smashes a goblet together. It can, if that's what you're into, of course.
Exactly.
But it doesn't have to be that way. Like, the one thing Elyria appeals to me for, at least in the role playing sense, because I do tabletop role playing games, D&D, Powered by the Apocalypse games, and Blades in the Dark, that sort of thing. Is you have an ability to like when we were talking with Tuckus, be somebody else. I don't think I intend to be somebody else in Elyria, but you have the option. You have the ability to be in a medieval fantasy-like setting and pretend you're in a medieval fantasy-like setting, and I think that's interesting. And I think what you mentioned something a little before. I think you mentioned something a little bit before we started talking about all this role playing.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of giggling at. Shout out to your big brother Steve here.
Give him a follow and a like too. He's awesome. He's the best medic I've ever had on Battlefield. Been bros for a long time. So he's a combat vet as well. 5 years in the Army, though. I won't hold that against him.
Anybody who can drop a Lord of the Rings or Tolkien-esque quote is a friend by my book. So, if only we could get rid of his slight stutter there. But we before we transitioned over to role playing, you had mentioned about something that reminded me of leadership, and I want to give you guys the opportunity to really talk about, display the decision making that goes through your mind as a leader. You're both mayors in the community on Game Start. at game start, you're gonna both be in positions of power in your towns. And what's that going to look like? What do we expect? I mean, I like to make a number of alliterations, relations to individuals in history, be they Abraham Lincoln, Augustus Caesar, Alfred Hitchcock, anybody who is famous and had sway over other individuals' lives. You can go on the good side to Churchill and the like. You can go to the bad side to Hitler and Mussolini. When I ask about how do you react to a situation, what goes through your mind? What helps you decide what makes a good leader, what makes a bad leader, and where do you draw some of those principles for guiding your decision making as a leader? So, Tuckus, if somebody comes to you with a problem that is going to impact your community, your town, what's going through your head there? How do you make a decision to help hurt impact that community?
It would depend on the severity of the conflict that was presented, but if it's anything that's easily done away with by some light communication and or just getting together with the two parties involved and hashing something out, I'm more than willing to do that. But as far from, say, someone's getting raided and like I have to step in as the mayor of the town to just protect what I own, what is mine, then sure, it's also much in my mind a community effort. So I'm very laissez-faire, hands-off approach, but I'm always willing to help. I'm always around, whether or not I be in game or Discord or something, and just hit me up and I'll talk to you about it.
Yeah,
Whether or not.
it sounds like what you're mentioning there, and I like this. Is you're saying open a dialogue. Let's talk. Whether you're on the receiving end or the giving end of something that's causing conflict in the community. Open up a dialogue. Help you understand things. I'm assuming here that part of your decision making process is understanding what's going on, what the pros, what the cons are, and then depending on what is appropriate, you're not afraid to use that stick if you have to. Decisive but communicative, right?
Right. I don't like making the hard decisions, but they have to be made, and sometimes you just gotta.
Sometimes you just gotta make them. Yep. No, I think that's a good trait to have as a leader. How about you, Strumtrooper? An individual in your community, in your town, has brought up an issue, and it's going to impact everybody. Where's your thought path in there? What are some of the steps that you're going to take to address whatever they've brought to you?
For in-game, correct?
Yeah, this is we're going to assume at the moment that the impact is solely in game, and we assume everybody's mature enough to say, you stole 50 gold from me in game. I'm not going to hunt you down in the outside world and harass you about it. So
Okay. Well, the whole opening up a dialogue is great, but there also has to be a very big force show of iron. If you already have the proof, they're right there. Execute them, crucify them, make an example of them. I don't want anyone else coming to my kingdom, disrespecting my people, and causing any sort of ruckus. They're going to be pursued by the full extent of the law that we hold in our land.
I like that you come from different perspectives here. That was a very iron fist kind of statement.
Like you said, we're all adults. You
Yeah.
made a bonehead move, you're going to pay the blood price.
Perfect. Now, for both of you, Tuckus, with your I want to understand, I want to work together, and if need be, I'm going to interact. And Stormtrooper, with you broke a law, it's very clear you broke a law, we're going to enact the blood price on it. What happens when that line in a community becomes a little gray? We stated at the beginning here that in this situation, your effects in game don't really translate to anything out of game. You could be a kind of a troll or a dick in game, but we're adults mostly, at least for those of us who are mature enough to consider ourselves adults. And that generally doesn't translate over to the outside world. Well, what do you do as a leader if the action in game has an out of world consequence? Think intense bullying and belittlement of an individual, or let's say something on the side of I don't want to say stalking because it sounds so
Harsh.
yeah, harsh, clear. It's an easy situation when you talk about stalking, but let's say unwarranted attention. Maybe not intended to be unwarranted, but somebody takes it as different than what it was intended to, when it has an effect for the community outside of the game. What type of decision making has to go into that as a leader?
That leads back more to my dialogue thing than the Iron Fist thing, where you actually do have to investigate more and just be like, all right, talk to this guy. He says that he's being constantly harassed by these two merchants or something, and just trying to be pushed out of a particular area. Just like, well, let's talk to him. Maybe they're not being so bad about it. Maybe it's just his take on it. Talk to them. If it is that way, then ask them to. Oh, I'm the fucking mayor. I can allocate resources in places that I deem fit. If there's conflict between merchants, move someone's stall to the other side of the city. I don't know. It's definitely harder, but also, if we're going to talk about out of thing where they're just constantly bullying someone, I really just don't want that in a community. I want a nice group of individuals that like to talk to each other, like to interact. And if there's one wolf in the flock, just kind of send them on their way. They'll find somewhere else that they're more welcome.
So do that I think that outlines something interesting here. That suggests there's a line, at least in your mind, in a community, a line in the sand that you don't want people to cross. How would you make sure that individuals understand where that line is for you? So the analogy that I make in a case like there's a line in the sand is, I can draw a line in the sand. If I'm on a beach, I can draw a line. And individuals who are running down the beach having fun won't necessarily see that line. They won't know that they've crossed my line. How do I make sure that they know where the line is? Is that a leader's responsibility to define what that line is?
Yes. I mean, there's certain expectations of everyone. My lines are very, very far away. They start basically where everyone's morals end, or like most common people's morals end. And at that point, it's just like, are you a halfway decent person, or are you just a dick?
So are you suggesting there that you're more or less forgiving?
I'm more forgiving to a point, but there's just some things. I don't know. It's a judge a character thing where it's also kind of like am I getting to know this person? Are they actually not as nice, or just, I mean, it's not even a nice thing. It's just like a common respect thing. Some people just don't have that for other people. It's all about me, me, me.
Gotcha. I think that's a good thing to say to have our viewers understand that um, you're given a foot. I'm not giving you a mile. There is somewhere there that is inappropriate, and respect is a big thing here. How about you, Strumtrooper? Your Iron Fist approach. Does that translate as well to impacts out of game?
I believe absolutely. It should be broken down to my people in my county, people in the Conclave, outsiders. They are my last priority. If there's a guy trying to encroach on my Conclave, my county, my people's merchants, kind of like the same scenario you're describing, I'm going to defend my people foremost. Now, if my people go above and beyond and are bullying and forcing them, let's flip the script. if that was happening to me, I'm inside someone else's city trying to encroach on their game, and I'm being forced out. I'm not going to go boo-hoo and cry. That's not me. I'm going to see it as a challenge that you are challenging me to try and outplay you. And I'm going to try and rise up to that challenge. I would expect that same person, if we flip those roles, to try and challenge me to play the game. Now, if it goes above hand and they message, they're like, hey, please stop. I'm going to reach out, bring them in chat, be like, look, we're adults here. This is my area. These are my merchants. These are my people. You're encroaching on our game. You're basically slowing down the gold process in our kingdom and taking away from our fun, because now we're going to have to work twice as hard. I'll give you two options. You can join me and work with me, or I will pay your fees and you can move the fuck out.
That's interesting. You took that as there's an outside influence onto your community. I was taking it as an inter-community issue. How would you deal with it in that scenario?
If it was internal,
yeah,
I would bring both parties into the group, be like, look, we're adults. We're in the same, are we on the same team or not? Let's be team players. If you're trying to sell iron and he's trying to sell iron, guess what? One of y'all needs to stop selling iron or come to agreement and sell your iron in bulk, on double, on bigger ships that you both put your money together. Go into business together. You don't trust each other? Then why should we trust you in our conclave or county?
Interesting. And I like the schism. I like how you interpreted the question differently. I think that shows a nice dynamic, at least to the mental processes that you have. And then also, like Tuckus brought up, it gives you the opportunity to look at the other perspective and say, well, if I'm thinking of it this way, how do you react to it? No, that's interesting. And I want to give you guys as much time as we can to talk about leadership, talk about decisions, give your write paint a picture of what the area around you is like. But at the same time, I'd also like to get on to talk about some settlement things and some things about the decisions and the structures that you're going to create locally, like Strumraider, your hall of rubies overflowing with gold and gilded to no end. And
that's an in-game goal right there. That's not something I can start with. Well, pay to play. I'm not a rich man. I might be able to get a couple more EP to make better roads, but
yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming that Soulbound.
That's more an RP aspect.
I'm assuming that Soulbound is not going to allow, or is going to come down like most MMOs do on, say, selling your account or your resources. I mean, there are stories, Strum, about various games. I can't remember the title of one, but about games that allowed players to sell real estate, digital real estate. I'm thinking, there's a few. Gosh, I'm gonna have to look it up while the next time you two talk. But there's I think they've gone from anywhere from $90,000 US to over $400,000 US just for digital real estate. Really interesting. But
you can right now go to a website and pay real cash for in-game gold for like WoW.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So that's all right there, and I don't plan to be a farming community. I mean, we're going to be hitting gold and silver and rubies as hard as possible, but I got to also consider stone, wood, other resources such as metal. Like, we're dwarves, we're going to have good smiths.
At least you hope you do, right?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I have a person who's undecided on what race he's going to play. He wants to be a basic Naren, the human.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to be the blacksmith. So I already got him pledged to me, which viewers out there, if you're interested in, I mean, it'll be a little more strict with laws and, guidelines, but it's going to be a very open community. I accept all races. You just won't be able to live in the Underkeep, the Ruby Keep with me. You'd have to live on the surface world with the traders and merchants.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, you're not going to let just anybody live, sleep next to you in that gilded ruby hall, of course. And
Exactly.
you brought up Naren, you brought up, we've talked about the Hrothi and the Brudvir. I can't remember if that was during the cast or before it, but like I said, I want to give you an opportunity to tell us information about your settlement, your package, the decisions that you're making. As mayors, you're not as constricted as the count level individuals. Individuals who are counts, basically, if they settle in an area, they have to be the race that is the majority race in that area. As a mayor, you're allowed a little more freedom. You have some flexibility. So if there's some overlap, maybe you're in a mountainous tundra area, you could be Broodveer, you could be Hrothi. Maybe if you're in the steppe-like hills between the mountains and the plains, you could be Broodveer, you could be Hrothi, you could be Naren. Maybe you could be Kipik. There's a bunch of different options. If we're talking about um, you wanted to have a port city there. I think that was you, Strumtrooper. You could have something like mountainous to coastlands. You could have anything from Hrothi to Medari to the Medari are the seafaring race, to something like the Torresk or maybe a Genoan like group. Anyway, the point being is there's some options that you guys have as mayors, and where do you fall in there? You mentioned that I think it was you, Strum, that you're a part of the Iskar, the county of Iskar, um, and then Tuckus, I think you said you're part of the Gateway, the Gateway County. What decisions are you making when we talk about geography and we talk about race? Um, Tell me, explicitly tell me, what are you choosing? What are you leaning towards there? Tuckus, you want to start out?
Sure. My mind for like my settlement, I have a slide on it. It was a mountainous town by the name of Briar, and it would be primarily mining and lumbering with basically it's a be all end all city. Like we'll try and make our own food for what we have, but I don't have anyone to do that. Right now, I just have my friend that's pledged to me, and he is going to be the smith. So he'll be, and I'll be dabbling in smithing on the side as well. But for right now, it's just I looking for people that would like to mine, would like to lumber, would like to do anything. But it's entirely possible that we're not even settled in a mountainous region, which then would change everyone's plans. So until I have more proof on that point, I don't know entirely what we will be doing. Because it's not smart to build an entire plan and then have it fall through because of settlement limitations.
Oh, I totally understand that. I know there's a lot of trepidation in the community to say, hey, I'm really feeling for this race or this geography because we haven't gotten to domain select yet. Soon, TM, soon. Um, but we haven't gotten there. But let's imagine for a second, Tuckus, you get everything that you want personally, just for you. Because I think stating your desires is important on these practices here. Basically saying, hey, I intend to do this. We have the individuals of Iskar, and they intend to be Hrothi, and they intend to have their settlements in the mountains. If they don't get that, yeah, they're going to be kind of annoyed, and that's going to be a problem. But they're a community built up around that intention. If you got everything you wanted, or that you and your community wanted, would you be Broodveer in the mountains? Would you be Broodveer in the tundra? Would you be Naren on the plains? What would you intend to be?
I would intend to be Broodveer just because I'm a big fan of the power characters, and for what little I will probably be participating in PvP, I will be primarily strength focused. hammer and shield.
Big old hammer, big old shield. Do you have aspirations for the Yoru when they're discovered?
Uh-oh. Do we lose him?
He cut out a little at the end.
So sorry about that. Yeah, no. So my question was basically, you said you like the big characters, the power characters, the strong men, and that's why you gravitate towards the Broodveer. How do you feel about, do you have aspirations for, say, the Yoru, the largest of the races, when they're discovered? Is that something that you're going to gravitate towards? Maybe use your second or third spark of life to try to be that character?
Entirely possible. It would just I would more than happily put a spark of life into experimenting with it and playing around with it and having fun with it, see how it goes and see if it's more my speed. But if it's not, then I'm more than happy just play with a Broodveer, and Harathi might even be my style. I don't know, but I'm gonna try around and see what I would like to play with.
Yeah, keep your options open. How about for yourself, Strumtrooper? Is there? Yeah, I mean, you're thinking Harathi. You're part of Iskar. I'm assuming that's a strong association there.
So I actually had my good buddy, the Goat Lord Baldrin Hammerfist.
The goat.
I
Lord,
actually met him in Conan Exiles, and he invited me over, and that's where I met all you fine folk, and that's how I joined up. It's not because I have ties to him. I've always gravitated towards the dwarves. They're very awesome, in my opinion. I wouldn't mind playing the other races. It's just their bonuses and stacks and how my play style would be. The dwarf will also give me the most bang for my buck.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking to be the Gilded Ruby Hall, you really have one, maybe two choices. You either go Hrothi, the dwarf-like character, and you mine and you gather and you hoard that all yourself, or maybe you go into something like a Toresk, a trader, and you try and develop, like you say, that intensive trade market, such that you just have to watch as the rubies and gold pour into your settlement there.
Well, even if my second place race would be the straight up Naren. It's the closest human. It would make me be able to stay balanced and everything, so that way I can go whatever route. The reason why the dwarf one will really help out in the very beginning is I'm all about practicality. My little city, Kermizian, it's going to have a big old stone wall all the way around it. All that stone is going to be coming from the mines, where I'm going to be hollowing out. I don't know if it's a county secret or not, so I'm not going to talk about it. But we got some plans with mines and hooking up the entire world instead of roadways, things like that. So being able to be a dwarf and having that natural bonus ability of mining right out of the gate is going to be super helpful. I already got one buddy. He's lined up to be my smith. So that way, all of the iron, all of the metals I pull out of the ground, he's going to be able to fashion me better mining equipment and weapons. I'm going to be mostly doing heavy pikemen, heavy armored men, and if possible, crossbows for all my archers. My rangers, of course, are going to be longbowmen or shortbowmen. I haven't decided on that. But I want to be able to grow the city as big as possible, as quickly as possible. Like the main focus at first is going to be building the wall. Second focus is going to be putting the buildings inside the wall. Everything's going to be on a good old grid system. I'll have it mapped out so that way when say we do get invaded or attacked, I could be like, hey guys, we're being attacked at wall, 1A. Redirect troops there. I'm all about practicality, and I want it to be as efficient as possible.
This is interesting. So I'm going to throw a slide up here. It's your goals and COE slide. And you talk about practicality, efficiency, and different stuff like that. And your first item on your goals and COE is, becoming a trading powerhouse like you discussed with your history in ESO and your desire for the gilded Ruby Hall. But the second item there is what I wanted to touch on because you talked about efficiency and practicality. You want to make your land a home to vagabonds, pirates, and mercs. And that suggests chaos, not necessarily efficiency. Do you see being a home to vagabonds, pirates, and mercs more of a I'm focused on money and I'm focused on wealth and wealth and power through all things, or do you see that more as a creating chaos inside or lawlessness, deviant like lifestyles inside your community?
So you say lawlessness, you say this crazy chaos and everything, but you also have to look at history. Throughout history, we have placed criminal organizations at times in power of entire countries, and they have ran it. During World War II, we gave over the docks to the mafia so they could guard it, while we went over to war, kicked the Nazis' asses, kicked the Japs' asses. Then we came back, they relinquished their things, and we went back to fighting them. It's a whole Tom and Jerry kind of deal.
Sure. So you don't
This
see.
is a safe haven. These guys, they fuck up. Like I said, the iron rule. There's facing crucifixion, instant death. There's no prisons on my beautiful little land. There's a holding cell, but it's not very big. So, first come, first serve. The rest will instantly. So these guys are already walking a thin blade. But what's the price? We take off, let's say, do the rule of quarters, take off 25% of every gold, every raid they go on. That's nothing. That's a drop in a bucket. That's a small price to pay for complete freedom and an entire city where you'll be protected.
I think that's a good point there, there can be structure even if there is lawlessness. And yes, we accept individuals who are pursuing maybe a more deviant like role playing or lifestyle in the
There's
game.
no deviance. You can walk down the street and you won't need to be feared because you won't be pickpocketed, you won't be robbed, you won't be burgled. None of that happens in the city. City is completely off limits. Everything outside the city, game on.
And
the other thing we're going to be going to, like, hey, pirates, guess what? We got a shipment of goods going out. We'll pay you to go on the shipment, escort it to Target A, bring it to Target B, and you could raid and pillage anything in between.
And I like that you bring that up, and that was I was going to be leading into is that, there's law inside your city, inside, oh gosh, what's the name of it again?
Kermisian,
yes. There's law inside Kermisian, there's order. But we're a haven for individuals who don't necessarily want law and order, but they have to keep it outside.
During the Golden Age, the pirates ran those islands. Do you think all those pirates banded together and were robbing and backbiting and, trying to murder each other every chance they got? They created their own community. This is their community.
So, if we were to create a Kermisian banner to post on the forums, to post on the community there, Wild Westish, Steve, yes. It would say, a safe community or a base for your operations as you go out to attain riches in any way, shape, or form. Right? Something like that?
Well, that's where the whole mercenary group comes in. I right now have a broodvar that is jumping between a couple cities within the county of Iskar. He is huge into PvPing. So what will I be giving him? I'll be giving him a very small detachment of Kermisian pikemen, maybe a small detachment of crossbowmen, and then any pirate vagabond that goes will get a giant chest full of gold.
Reward the behavior you want to promote. I know I like that, and of course you get your take on it. I want to give Tuckus a little bit of time here as well to talk about Briar and talk about those decisions and that place. You mentioned Tuckus. It's It's a location of wood, stone. It's, you're still tentatively thinking somewhere mountain-esque, and you're looking with your community to do foresting, mining, farming, border security, but practically, you're a practical person. I'm gonna toss up your who is Tuckus um, slide, but I wanna before I do that, I wanna talk, for you personally, what are some of those goals that um, you're holding onto yourself? Like we were talking with Strumtrooper, what are the things that you're really looking forward to in this game, at least with your settlement?
Um, like I said, when I actually first thought of the settlement, I was like, you know what, I kind of want to do. I kind of want to just create like a very easygoing town, kind of on the smaller side. I don't want it to be super big, and I really just want to come and go as I please. But I also want to be able to help whoever comes in and just be like, hey, you need a sword, and you're actually flat broke because you've just been constantly raided. Well, get in the shop. I'm going to teach you how to make a sword. Then you can make me some swords to pay for the sword that I gave you, and go on your way. And then you have some skills to go, and it's just I make some money out of it, and there we go. But whenever I'm not doing like marrying stuff, I really want. And since I'm going to be on a border city, I want to go out and explore. Where I just want to go out there like a week, maybe when I'm bored of just smithing or trying to run a city, and just go have fun, go explore, go try and find something interesting that no one's found before, something that I might think is interesting, some old ruins, and just go explore them and see if they bring up anything useful. If they don't, then whatever. I had a nice time playing the game.
Experiencing the environment and that sort of thing, yeah, no.
Yeah.
And I imagine the friends you make, the people in your community, and if you were to reach out to them and say, hey, I'm gonna go check out Ruin B, A, W, whatever, coordinates 123 321. Um, you'll get to go with them and experience, support, explore together. If I were to tell you that there is a ruin, or there is a something, some not necessarily a dungeon, but a dungeon is what I'm thinking, in your vicinity, you know yeah, that's going to be something that's enticing, something fun. Think the silver mine run, that sort of thing. Getting to go and do one of those dives, or compete as a team against something that's environmentally focused. That'll be entertaining. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I played Eve, I wasn't really big on the PvP thing either. Like, I'm not super big on PvP anywhere I go. It's just it's a thing, and it can be fun. Like I do enjoy I remember I used to play on I'm trying to remember. It was some server on Minecraft when I first started. And we had our clan of friends, and there was a bunch of people that were just like new blood basically, and they kept coming at us, and it was really fun to just survive in an environment that's hostile. And even if that's not PvP based, if it's PvE, that'd be just the same amount of fun, as long as I'm doing it with people I enjoy, people that want to do things together. I don't know. It's my definition of fun.
Yeah, and so I want to use your definition of fun to lead into what the next section of when talking about your settlement is, and that's I want to give you guys a real good chance to definitively state, hey, this is an attraction. If you're interested in this, reach out to me. Um, you know, in your community, in your settlement, in your area, what are some of the what name an attraction that you think is attractive to new and inspiring players. People who are watching this, and are saying, "Hey, I don't know where I fit into the world of Elyria. I don't know if I like the Conclave. Maybe I'm with the Conclave, but I don't know where I want to. I don't know where I want to end up. I don't know where I want to live at the end of the day." Well, the Tuckus said that his community had this sort of attraction. What's something that you can definitively say is, come to my settlement and stay because we provide this, or we do that, or we have one of these. What's something that what's your marketing there?
I'd say old style community where you help your neighbor out. Doesn't matter what. Could just be a basket of bread. Could be helping them go out and explore in the woods because they found something interesting. It could just be you're wanting to have a low stress environment and just play a game in not, because I don't think we're super close to anything like hub city. Like the gateway will have a hub city, but I don't think we're going to be super close to that. So as long as you're doing stuff off the beaten path is what I like to say, where you just want to go out and wilderness. You want to be a wild man. You can come out and be a wild man.
And I think that's, you said, old community values, um, you know, come for whatever reason, but stay because you become part of a family. That's what you're looking for there, individuals who want to be involved in a community and want to feel like they have friends, they have, I don't want to use the word family, but they have family to communicate with. I'm gonna throw your last slide up here because this is a fun little tidbit of stuff. You say here you have no impulse control. Spent far more than you wish to admit on the game, but the bottom line is you have a lot of packs. So like people treat their family, like people treat their friends. If you're an active member of your community, if you're your friends, if you're somebody who falls on hard times or is looking to get into the game, and you fall into that social group that you had described earlier, you feel as a leader in your community that they are not disrespectful or somebody who violates the spirit of the community. Maybe a little pack here, a little help there is not out of the picture, right?
Yeah, it's not, because I know I'm not going to be using but like 2 of them.
Yep. Strumtrooper, I want to give you the same opportunity here. Attractions, your label, your the thing that you see on a giant propaganda photo, a poster. I give you the chance to discuss those sort of things. If I'm coming to Credation, your settlement. If I'm coming to your settlement and I'm thinking about staying around for a while, what's going to attract me? What's going to bring people inside your door, and have them Cremacian. Who's going to bring people inside your door? What is the big thing that attracts people to your area?
Well, Kermisian is going to be underneath the Iskar County, which of course is underneath the Conclave itself. Now, Iskar County, almost all those individuals are all Harathi, and all of them are focusing on trade, technology. So when they come to my city, they're not just going to be seeing that giant thing of wealth. They're not going to see these outlaws and everything underneath a civilized, roof. That might attract some people, but what I want to have people coming to my city for is trade. I want people to come and see the wonders that Iskar can actually produce and then sell as a profit. So if other players want to come and join me, I want them to have that mindset of how can I like make the county as best as I can? Because we're a supporting role. We want to make Iskar the best county underneath Conclave. We're not shy about that. We've already are in communications with several and other different counties, working on trade agreements. I have several exploration treaties set up where people are going to be sending me copies of all the maps they make as they explore from city to city for, well, gold. You know, that's what's going to drive the economy in the game. Tuckus was saying that he's going to be exploring and everything. The chances of my character ever leaving my city are very slim. And those 2,000 plus hours I put on ESO, I never made it past level 35. And that's years worth of gameplay without ever actually really playing the game. I focused on just talking to individuals, setting up trade agreements, trading items. I want to just be the gem of the empire.
I like that. I like you come to Kermisian because it is a land of opportunity and wealth, and you stay because
Sure,
you find
join a pirate crew.
You find
or
a,
stay and work.
Yep, you find a place in the community where you can achieve your financial or your economic goals like that. I think that's a strong message to put there.
Because if you're going to join me and just kind of fuck around, explore, go joust and everything, all right, cool. You can live with me and everything, but we need to get out something in return.
Yeah,
and I'm all for playing a supportive role and making my county the best it can be. And this is the only way I know how to really support.
No, and I think the both of the environments that you've both described, Strumtrooper and Tuckus, I mean, they appeal to different people, and I think that's one of the wonderful things about this cast in particular is that it's not everything's the same. It's that everything is the same but different. We're going towards common goals, but everybody gets their own flavor of ice cream, and I like different flavors of ice cream. I think variety is the spice of life, especially when it comes to face the Conclave here. And as we've been talking about the attractions in the area, that's really the last question that I have prepared through my template, through these interactions. If there's something near or dear to your heart in particular, I want to give you a chance to talk about that if we haven't already. Is there anything that you feel as mayors you want to give a last plug to, and then we'll go into our goodbyes.
After you, Tuckus.
I just feel like I'm trying to appeal to an audience that just wants to do what they do. And if you want to come in here and start animal husbandry, by all means. I'm not going to make you work in the mines. It'd be nice if you could work in the mines, but that sounds like Harathi business.
Well, no, I'm not going to be forcing people to do any particular job. If you're going to work a job, expect to not work for free. We're a community and we're paying upwards.
Yeah.
We're on a pyramid scheme.
Everything goes up.
Conclave's at the top.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm open arms as long as we have a chance to talk, and I know you and you know me, and we know we're good for each other. There you go.
Very nice. Well, mine's pretty simple also. If you're interested and you've watched this stream and everything, I've made it as simple as possible. You can hit me up on Twitch, Discord, Instagram, anything. All my contact handles are Strumtrooper. Just hit me up there. We can talk if you want to. If you're in a different faction, not even with the Conclave, and you want to set up some trade agreements, hit me up. It's never too early to start.
Perfect. Alrighty, so we're going to get to our goodbyes then. And so just a quick reminder to our viewers, we the guests and the hosts of Face the Conclave, we hail, definitely not fail, definitely hail, from the Conclave of Aratar. If you or a friend is a part of the Aratarian community and you wish to have a similar spotlight for your group, maybe you have a plan for a school, you're setting up an organization, you've got a town that you've bought into, or a county, please reach out to Jedzia for scheduling. If, on the other hand, you have a topic that you'd like to talk about with the Elyrian community at large, maybe you've got some interesting ideas about crafting and the information we've got about that, the gossip and politics system, maybe you're really big into setting up a trade network through the economy. Maybe you want to talk about stabby deviant lifestyles, or steely deviant lifestyles. Maybe you want to talk about more standard PvP lifestyles and military-esque ranks and arms. Reach out to me, Aspissus, and we can put something together to discuss in this media form. Just a quick reminder that we hold these casts every Wednesday at 8 and Sundays at 4 Eastern, though that format will be changing in the future, so a quick follow will let you know if we're going live. And so if you're joining in, I definitely encourage you to join into the Twitch chat. It's always nice to see people discussing what's going on. And, if you feel like you want to ask some questions, always feel free. This has been Face the Conclave. I've been your host, Aspissus, here with my guests, Strumtrooper and Tuckus. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.